So you want to know how servers and networks really work, right? But it always feels so complex, kind of locked away. Well, what if I told you there's a key, a tiny, super cheap computer that can open up this whole world of making and mastering tech? That key is the Raspberry Pi. And today, we're going to break down exactly how this little device becomes your own personal lab for mastering Linux.
And hey, that is no joke. This isn't about sitting down and memorizing a bunch of dry commands from a textbook. No, this is a hands-on adventure. The Raspberry Pi gives you this amazing freedom to just experiment, to build stuff, to break stuff with basically zero consequences, and to actually learn by doing. It's your playground, your space to become a real tech builder.
You know, this Lego thing, it's the perfect way to think about it. Your laptop or desktop, that's like getting the pre-built Lego Star Destroyer. I mean, it looks awesome, but it's a finished product. A Raspberry Pi, that's like being handed a giant bucket of Legos. It's all the essential pieces, and it's just begging you to get creative, to build whatever you can dream up. A retro game console, a smart home hub, or what we're going to focus on, your very own powerful little server.
So what is it that makes this little green board the perfect guide for this whole journey? Well, it really boils down to three main advantages. What I like to call its three superpowers that make it just perfect for our mission.
Okay, first up, it is ridiculously cheap. Seriously, we're talking 35 to maybe 75 bucks. And that low cost makes you fearless. If you completely mess something up, who cares? You're not out $1,000. Second, it just sips power. You can leave it on 24/7 running as a server, and you'll barely even notice it on your electricity bill. And third, this is its secret weapon, the GPIO pins. That stands for General Purpose Input Output. Just think of them as magic connectors that let the Pi's computer brain talk directly to real-world electronics. Things like lights, sensors, motors, you name it.
So, you've got these superpowers. What do you actually do with them? Well, here's the cool part. When you're mastering the Pi, you're not just messing around with a hobby toy. You're actually learning the real-world skills of a systems administrator, a sysadmin. You're learning the language that basically powers the entire internet. Your little Raspberry Pi, it's your first server. And just like any pro, you're going to need a toolkit. We're going to focus on 5 key areas here. First, the command line. That's how you'll be talking to your server. Then there's the operating system itself, Raspberry Pi OS. Of course, we'll cover the basics of networking. Then we'll get into services, which are just programs that run in the background all the time. And finally, scripting, which is how you make it all happen automatically.
Now, this is probably the biggest shift you're going to make. I want you to forget about clicking on icons with a mouse. From now on, your main tool is going to be that black box called the terminal. Yeah, it might look a little scary at first, but trust me, it's the most powerful, most precise way to tell a computer exactly what you want it to do. It's the native language of servers.
All right, so to talk to your server, you've got to find it first, right? That's where the IP address comes in. And you can just think of it like a house number. It's the one-of-a-kind address for your Pi on your home network, so all your other devices know exactly where to send and get information from. Simple as that.
So how do you talk to your Pi if it doesn't even have a monitor hooked up? That is where SSH comes in. It's your magic remote control. SSH lets you log right into your Pi's command line from your main computer. This means you can just tuck the Pi away in a corner with nothing but a power cord plugged in, no keyboard, no mouse, no monitor, and do everything remotely. We call this running headless, and it's how the pros do it. Okay, once your Pi is online and you can get to it, the next thing you have to think about is security. You've got to protect it. And for that, you're going to use a firewall. The best way to think of a firewall is like a digital bouncer for a club. You get to set the rules for what kind of network traffic gets in and what gets kicked out. It's absolutely essential for keeping your server safe.
All right, theory's great and all, but the absolute best way to learn this stuff is to build things. So we've put together a 5-mission roadmap for you. And this is not a boring to-do list. Think of it more like a series of quests that'll take you from being a total beginner to a seriously capable expert, one really cool, practical project at a time.
Your quest starts with level 1, the essential headless setup. From there, you're going to build something you can use right away, a network-wide ad blocker. After that, you'll create your own personal cloud storage. Then you'll level up and host an actual website. And for the final boss, you'll become a Docker pro, using the exact same tech that runs the biggest companies in the world.
You know, just getting through that first mission, that's a huge win. You'll have totally mastered the fundamentals. You'll be able to install the operating system without ever plugging in a monitor. You'll get the basics of networking, and you'll be using that all-important SSH to remote control your new server. These are the building blocks for literally everything else we're going to do. Mission 2. This is where the magic really starts to happen. By setting up something called Pi-hole, which is a network ad blocker, you don't just learn how to follow a tricky tutorial or install a service that runs in the background. You also get a feel for how DNS works. That's the internet's phone book that turns website names into IP addresses. And the best part? You get an immediate reward, a way faster, cleaner internet for every single device in your house. How cool is that?
For Mission 3, you'll plug in an external hard drive and transform your Pi into what's called a Network-Attached Storage Device, or a NAS. But really, what you're doing is building your very own private Dropbox or Google Drive. You'll learn all about managing storage, setting up permissions for users, and creating a safe, central spot for all your important files.
Now, Mission 4. This is a massive resume builder. For real, you're going to install something called a LAMP stack. It's the classic recipe for hosting websites. LAMP stands for Linux, which you're already using, Apache, which is the web server software, MySQL for the database, and PHP, the programming language that makes it all dynamic. When you finish this, you'll know how to run a real web server, a skill that is incredibly valuable out in the real world.
And for the final mission, you'll tackle Docker. Docker is this amazing technology that lets you pack up your applications into these neat, tidy, isolated boxes called containers. Think of it like putting each app in its own sealed Tupperware so it can't make a mess or interfere with anything else. This is how almost every modern tech company runs its software, and like it says here, this is a skill that will make you look like an absolute pro to any hiring manager.
So once you've gone through this roadmap, you've done something pretty incredible. You haven't just memorized a few Linux commands. No, you have built, you've configured, secured, and maintained your own server. You've gone from being a passive consumer of tech to a true builder. You've mastered your own personal lab.
So how do you know when you're really getting it? Well, here are some of the signs. You can spin up a brand new headless Pi in under 15 minutes. You're running 3, 4, 5 different services on your own, and they're secure. When something breaks, your first instinct is to check the logs, not just to guess. You've got your updates and backups automated, and maybe the biggest tell of all, you could actually explain how your home network works to a friend without them getting totally lost. And that right there is the real takeaway. This whole journey gives you way more than just knowledge. It gives you capability. You now have the foundational skills of a sysadmin, the confidence of a builder, and your very own lab to create whatever you can think up. So the real question isn't what can you build, it's what will you build next?